Book of Job, chapter 13 and verse 4. But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, all glory, all praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash. I want to give double honors to my apostles, my bishops, my elders of Great Millstone. I want to give double honors to the high priest elders that taught those men. Salutations to you brothers that are presenting your bodies as a living sacrifice, pushing the gospel of the Lord, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, through the four corners of the earth. And to you believers, the Akim and Akwathian, to you I say Shalom. This brother Bon Malak out of Great Millstone Camp, Austin, coming at you with a quick lesson. And this lesson really is just going to center around how broken, the healthcare system here is in America. I'm going to get a couple of precepts and then we're going to close it out. And again, I was reading this article out of The Guardian, and it says, "Welcome to Trump's America, a place where people can't afford to call an ambulance." And we're not going to put this all on Trump. We're going to put this on all the past presidents, that have been the so-called leader of the free world. This falls on all of their heads and your senators and your congressmen, man, because the healthcare system here in America, Babylon the Great, is broken. So we're not just going to put that on one person's head. It said, how are people expected to handle increased health insurance costs when everything else in life has become more expensive? I think the answer is they're not. And this article was written today, November the 19th, 2025. It said, and I guess this person name was Arwah Mahadawa. Name's not important as well. It said, I got a genius business idea for people with a few discernible skills. First, you establish a health insurance company and get people to pay you large sums every month. Then, when a customer tries to use the insurance to cover the medical costs, make a habit of denying their claim. That's why it came out of the book of Job, chapter 13 and verse 4. It says, but ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value. And that's one thing about these insurance companies, along with these so-called physicians. Let's look up this word physician. Strong's H7495.
Strong's H7495, Rapha.
Outline of biblical usage: to heal, to make helpful, to heal. A healer, a physician of men. We'll go down to the Strong's definition. Rapha, it says what? To cure, to cause to heal. A physician, repair, thoroughly, make whole. And again, the book of Job, chapter 13 and verse 4, but ye are forgers of lies, ye are physicians of no value. And we go back to this article. It says what? We're going to start right here. It says, then when a customer tries to use the insurance to cover medical costs, make a habit of denying their claim. Because these insurance companies and these so-called healers, these so-called physicians, they're tied in hoots and cahoots together, man. And one thing about the pharmaceutical system, the healthcare system as a whole, the pharmaceutical companies, they come up with all these different pills, be it for high blood pressure or whatever. And they go to different doctors around the country and they tell them, hey, this is the new and the greatest drug on the market today, man. So if you start prescribing this pill to your clients, you're going to get such and such on the, we're going to pay you such and such. So this whole system as a whole is broken. And you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans are still trusting, anything that is involved in the shadow of Egypt, man. It says, make a habit of denying the claim. While doing that, you pay lobbyists to keep politicians amenable. Repeat this strategy until your company is worth billions, man. And you repeat the same strategy, man. Hey, we can't pay out this medical procedure because, if we pay this out, man, it's a $300,000 procedure. We lose if we pay out that big procedure, and the doctors, so they might, I'm not sure, this is just me speaking as a man, so they might tell the doctor, we'll give you this for, denying the claim, say you just come up with something and say, hey, we can't cover this because, it involves this and this and this and that. One thing about them, they'll say, well, we don't pay for the anesthetics, the anesthesia. anesthesiologist. You're going to need the anesthesiologist to put you under. So we don't pay you for this procedure. So they got all kind of stipulations, man, in this so-called healthcare system that it's really just horrible, man. It's really horrible. And for the most part, and that one thing that most people, they'll take a low paying wage as long as the company is offering a good medical insurance. Why? Because most families understand the biggest expense they probably can have will be a house, and then if someone gets sick, will be a medical bill. So people will take low paying jobs just as long as the medical insurance is really worth it. And then when you get these medical insurance, the company might be, you might have to pay because they'll deduct it out of your check. So you might be paying $400, $500, $600 a month, and you might never use it. They're not ever going to give you any of that money back. But nevertheless, they keeping it because it's free money. And then when you really need to use the medical insurance, they might tell you that they don't cover the procedure. And that's how the Babylon Great medical system work as a whole. And again, we're going to read the second paragraph. It says, I'm not saying this is exactly how the U.S. healthcare insurance industry works, but it's close enough. There's a reason Americans spend the most on healthcare in the industrialized world, but have the worst health outcomes, according to the analysts by the Commonwealth Fund. Privatizing a public good is great for a few well-remunerated executives, but rarely benefit the masses. Now, not that I'm criticizing these insurance companies. No, sir. He said, I love the fact that my wife spends $750 a month on health insurance for our 3-person family. See, that's a lot of money. That's almost $1,000 a month they take out of her check, for the health insurance. It said, with the rest of the astronomical bill being covered by her employer, and we still have to pay a minimum of $500 to visit the hospital, $500 copay just to visit the hospital. What if you got one of those real emergencies where I'm talking about one of these life or death emergencies where your daughter and your son have to keep going back to the hospital weekly or monthly. Every time they go, they got to spend $500, for a medical copay. That'll ruin a family. Matter of fact, let's go to the book of Micah. And 2/3 of you Negro, Latinos, and Native American, that will ruin you. The book of Micah, chapter 2, and verse 10, and it reads, it says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sword destruction. And just like the medical system here in Babylon, it will destroy you as a sword destruction, man. That's why I say, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sword destruction. And it's not telling you to rise and go buy a ticket, and sell your home and go buy, and buy a plane ticket and move to Mexico or move to Paris or move to one of the many places where Americans are starting to try to find places to move to get out of America. No, it's not talking about that. It's telling you to spiritually depart out of America. Don't take part. You got to go to work. You always go. We're not telling you to quit your jobs either. What we're saying is spiritually, you need to check out and you need to check in with the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah. Check out of America, but check in with the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah. Put your trust in the Most High Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah in these last days. Because He can never fail you, man. He'll never fail you. His words are faithful and true, man. So again, we're going to go back to this article. It said, and most of all, I love the fact that healthcare in the U.S. is poised to become even more complicated and expensive. Roughly 154 million people who get health insurance through their employer are going to see their paychecks deducted rise by 67% on average next year. One analyst has found, meanwhile, self-employed people who get insurance through the Affordable Care Act marketplace, often known as Obamacare, are going to see the cost of their cover go up by 26% on average next year because of subsidies are set to expire and Republicans refuse to come up with a plan to address this. And again, hey man, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. It is polluted and it will destroy you with a sword destruction. You Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans are saying, hey man, you need to spiritually check out of Babylon the Great, man, and check in again with the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah. Because, y'all are trusting in the shadow of Egypt. Matter of fact, let's go to it. Let's go to the book of Isaiah chapter 30. And it says, woe to the rebellious children, and 2/3 of you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. Y'all are rebellious as hell. Saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shah, to take counsel, but not of me. Y'all don't want, let's look up this word counsel. Strong's H 6098.
Strong's H 6098.
It's
Eight
how biblical usage, counsel, advice, purpose, advisement. Let's see what the root word says.
Strong's H 3289. Ya'ats.
To advise, to consult, give counsel, devise a plan, go down to the Strong's definition, to take advice, consult, counsel, guide, a purpose. So again, in the book of Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 1, it said, woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord Yahweh, that take counsel but not of me, and that covering with a covering but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. Verse 2, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. And you trust in the shadow of Egypt, which is Egypt always been synonymous, with our captivity. And we were brought through the transatlantic slave trade to come here to Babylon the Great, America, which is spoken of in the Holy Scriptures. So, you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, you need to arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. It is polluted. It was destroy you with a soul destruction, roughly paraphrasing Micah 2:10, man. So, you got to spiritually come up out of Babylon the Great, America, and you got to trust in the Lord. Let's go to the book of Revelation. See, in the kingdom, man, we're not going to have to worry about no health care. We're not going to have to worry about anything in the kingdom, man. Let's see what the Lord he talk about your health. The book of Revelation chapter 21, and we're going to go to verse 4. And it says what? And power Yahweh shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death. See, in the kingdom of heaven, there's going to be no more death. If there's no more death, that means you don't need a hospital. It says, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying. Neither shall there be pain anymore. So we won't need no healthcare hospitals, and have to depend on no health insurance agents, departments, no doctors. Hey man, the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is gonna provide everything for us, man. We're gonna be perfect. We're gonna receive new bodies. The hopeful elect, the 144,000 mighty men. There's no, you're not gonna be in the kingdom and they're gonna be catching a common cold. You're not going to be in the kingdom where Joe going to be talking about, man, he got acid reflux or he got high blood pressure. Hey, man, the earth is going to be refreshed. So everything that we eat, everything that we take in, it's going to be healthy for us. So you're not going to have no planes flying by and dropping chemtrails out. You're not going to have no one, polluting the water by drilling for oil. Hey, man, everything that we have, it's going to consume. It's going to be It's going to be good for us. But everything here in America, Babylon the Great, everything is not good. Everything is at the worst for you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. And again, the book of Revelation, chapter 21 and verse 4. And power shall wipe away all tears from the eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. Hey, everything that harmed us in the past is wiped away. Hey, now we're just going to be in a perfect state. Why? Because this mortal must put on immortality, man. That's the beautiful thing about the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Verse 5. And it reads and said, and he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, write, for these words are faithful and true. These words are faithful and true, man, that are written in the Holy Scriptures, man. These are faithful and true words that are written in the Holy Scriptures. That's why you need to what? Depart from Babylon and and you need to check in with the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, man. Because the new kingdom, the new heaven and a new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness, man, it's going to be exactly what it is, righteous. A healthy earth, once again, with the righteous rulers ruling the earth. Starting with Hamashiach Yahushua, who the word ignorantly calls JC, King David, the governing body, and then 144,000 men and that innumerable multitude of people, man. So it's time to depart from Egypt. And it's time to trust in the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So I pray this lesson has been edifying. I want to give all honor, all glory, all praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Rekaha Kodash. Double honors to my apostles, my bishop, my elders, a great millstone. Double honors to the high priest elders that taught those men. And salutations to you brothers that are present your bodies as a living sacrifice, pushing the gospel of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua through the four corners of the earth. Shalom.